Hello and welcome back to Best Era Football. This is week number 4. We have a NFC West matchup for you. The 89 San Francisco 49ers versus the home team, the 98 Arizona Cardinals. The 49ers come into this game at 2-1. The Cardinals are 1-2, so a big divisional game here. Cardinals can get right back into the division, or the 49ers can get to the top. See Montana's stats there: 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's over 70%, so he's performing quite nicely early here in Best Era Football. Now the Niners coming off that unbelievable comeback against the 99 St. Louis Rams a week ago. So this could be considered a trap game in the season. It's hard to get up twice in a row for games. Paris McIntyre, Sapolo, and then you have Jerry Rice, John Taylor, the receivers, Brent Jones. Flagler is the backup to Roger Craig, and of course Tom Rathman, not pictured, but he is the very good fullback for the 49ers. Montana from the shotgun now. He's going to fumble the football, but luckily Bubba Paris, the left tackle, was alert and picked up the football. Not what Montana wanted to start off doing, but his tackle bailed him out there. He's got the protection. Paris has him, and Craig is over there to help. But Montana, for whatever reason, decides he needs to get outside the pocket, and then he loses the ball. But Paris, who was doing his job initially, picks up Montana there by picking up the fumble. Now Montana on play action. Craig picks up the blitz, and Montana throws it, but Rice has a foot out of bounds as he makes that catch. And the Niners come out, and they don't look very effective on offense on that first drive. A 3-and-out. And again, this could be a hangover game. It's got the makings of a trap, hangover, whatever you want to say. They played the 99 Rams. Of course, that's champion versus champion. It was a great game. Still probably the best game that has occurred here in Best Era Football. They won it, but now they have to take the Cardinals seriously before they lose this one. See Jake Plummer, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. His percentage not quite at Montana's 71, but he is at 63%, which is solid. Now these teams, ratings-wise, statistically, they're about at the opposite edges of the division. But let's take a look at the line. Lomas, Brown, Dishman, Graham, Holmes, and Dexter are your linemen. Morrell and Bates are the running backs. Frank Sanders and Eric Metcalf will be doing the receiving is along with Rob Moore, who was not pictured there, but he is one of the 3 receivers used the most. There's a quick handoff to Adrian Morrell. It's a few yards. Take a look at the 49ers defense now. And Michael Carter in the middle, Kevin Fagan, Pierce Holt, Turner, Millen, Walter, and Charles Haley are your backers. Ronnie Lott and Chet Brooks are the safeties. Griffin and Darrell Pollard are your corners. And the Niners do, in fact, play a 3-4. So for once, Madden got the pictures right there. Jake the Snake now on 3rd and 4 from the shotgun. He starts running backwards, then he turns around just in time to get hit by Charles Haley. So that's a big sack by number 94, the sack artist himself, Charles Haley. And so the Cardinals look equally ineffective on offense, and they will punt. So the Niners will come out for their second drive now. Montana throws a strike, and that is enough for the first down as he hits number 85, Mike Wilson. The first down of the game, tackled by safety Pat Tillman. Here's a handoff to Roger Craig. He gets a couple. Will they show us Arizona's defense? They are. Now they run the 4-3, but there's only 3 of the 4 there. Simeon Rice, Mark Smith, Andre Wadsworth. They'll show us an extra linebacker here. The main ones, though, are Miller, McKinnon, and McCombs. And then the corners are Aeneas Williams and Corey Chavis, and then Tommy Bennett and Pat Tillman are your safeties. The defensive lineman not shown, Rashad Swinger. Or Eric Swan. Swan, the more talented, but often injured. In 98, he only started 5 games, played a total of 7. And he is hurt again here in Best Era football, unfortunately. Montana drops back. He'll sling it, complete to his tight end, Brent Jones, who apparently did not have his knee down, so Miller came in and took a shot. You see Jones last week had 88 yards on the season. He has 10 catches for 146.
And that touchdown was his first of the year, and you know he's eager to get more of those. Cardinals, a lot of fun watching the NFL.
And there's Flagler getting a carry, and he goes 7 yards. Now, let's take a look at what these teams did in their respective seasons. The 89 49ers went 14-2. Obviously winning the division. Oh, nice move by Flagler there. He picks up the first down. Then they went into the playoffs where they won games, divisional round against the Minnesota Vikings. Listen to some of these scores. They beat the Vikings 41-13. Then they, in the NFC Championship game, they dismantled the Los Angeles Rams 30-3. And then in the Super Bowl, they took care of the Denver Broncos 55-10. So yes, in 3 playoff games, that is 126 points scored, 26 allowed. They outscored their opponents by 100 in the postseason. And there's Roger Craig with a nice run into the end zone for a touchdown. So the 49ers look much better on this drive and put it into the end zone. Now you compare that, and the Cardinals get the ball. We'll go over what the Cardinals did in 1998. But how impressive is that? The 89 49ers outscoring their opponents in the postseason by 100 points. So the Cardinals come out now, needing to take and get some points here as they are now down by 7. Okay, I just if you see something there that says test comments, that was just me, because YouTube has not been allowing comments to go through on every other game or so, but they are allowing comments to go through. So if anyone happens to join live, you guys will be able to comment here live. Otherwise, if you're watching this on a replay, certainly comment down below anything that you enjoyed or disliked about this game, or if you go back and look at the playlist of Best Era Football, the series itself, some of the Week 1 games, of course, you'll see some people that still needed haircuts. Too much. A few people still had dreads. Unfortunately, they slipped through, but most of that should be taken care of. There was a couple people like Chris Collinsworth, whose name doesn't fit offline. And for his first game, I forgot to change it, but his name should be correct and have all the letters in his last name now. But if you notice anything at all that would look better fixed, certainly let me know. There you see that's a fumble. I'm not so sure he caught the ball, but they're going to say fumble and recovered by the Niners, Darryl Pollard. And that, I'm sure Frank Sanders would rather say that he didn't catch it. Well, today's rules, having to make a football move, I don't know. He comes down 1 foot. As soon as his second foot comes down, he's on his way down to the ground. But on top of that, I don't think the ball actually came out until his butt was already on the ground. So there is questions if that was even a completion. And then another question, did he actually fumble it before he was down? Yes, the booth is certainly going to take a look at this one. I don't believe it's a fumble, but is it even a catch? Let's see. If they say it's a catch, then he's definitely down. I guess because of down by contact, it should be a catch and it should be down. So this should be Cardinals ball and a first down. Let's see what the refs say. And they do give it back to the Cardinals appropriately. So now we went over how good the 49ers were in 1989. How good were these 98 Cardinals? Now, hopefully you know by now, every team here in Best Era Football is a playoff team. You can argue if they were the best team of that franchises from 84 to 2000. Certainly there's arguments can be made. I mean, this 89 49er team won the Super Bowl, but some might say 88 was better, even 84 or 94. But you do know that at least every team in Best Era Football is a playoff team. So this 1998 Cardinals team is a playoff team. They went 9-7 and got in as a wild card. And then they went to Dallas and beat the Cowboys 20-7. And then went to the high-scoring Minnesota Vikings in the divisional round and lost that one 41-21. So they were outscored in the postseason 48-41. Not quite what San Francisco did, outscoring their opponents by 100. But still, they're a playoff team, so they cannot be overlooked. They have already won one game here in Best Era Football. And if you remember last week, they pushed the 93 Cowboys into overtime, but came up short in that one. Jake the Snake fires downfield. Oh, at first there was a fight for the ball, and Moore almost came up with it, but he could not reel it in. Now the Cardinals, ratings-wise, they are one of the worst teams as far as statistics go that are in Best Era Football, because even though they pulled out a 9-7 record and won a playoff game, throughout the season, they were outscored. They scored 20.3 points per game, but they allowed 23.6 points per game. And in 98, there was 30 teams in the league. Their offense ranked 15th, right in the middle. Their defense was actually 24th. So this is a playoff team. They're a Best Era Football team, but they have an average offense and a bad defense. So that's why they are statistically or rating-wise outmatched in almost every game they play. Certainly in this one. I believe the 49ers, according to the Madden team overall ratings, which is not... it doesn't mean everything, but if you put any stock into that, Madden's got the Niners as a 10-point better overall team, which if you want to use that and say that's Vegas odds or such, we could say that the Niners are a 10-point favorite in this one. There's a handoff to Morrell, and he's going nowhere. 6 carries, 7 yards. Adrian Morrell was a 1,000-yard back in '98, so he is certainly capable. He had 1,042 yards that year, 8 touchdowns. And there's Jake back to pass. He rolls out to the right. He slings it towards the end zone, and it's going to be intercepted. And that is another thing about these Cardinals. Jake Plummer did throw for over 3,700 yards, but he had 17 touchdown passes to 20 interceptions. And so there you see the interception bug again. Jake the Snake Plummer will do that. The other thing about Jake Plummer, his year consisted of a odd breakdown. I don't have the exact quarterback rating numbers, but certainly look this up if you would like to. And in quarters 1 through 3, so throughout the entire 16-game schedule, in quarters 1, 2, and 3 combined, his quarterback rating, well, first of all, his rating for the year, just so you know, his quarterback rating in '98 was 75. So his rating for '98 was 75. The first 3 quarters, his rating, I believe, was somewhere around like 63 or something. It was low 60s. And then something happened in the 4th quarter. He had a quarterback rating over 100 in the 4th quarter throughout the season. So something happens when the game's on the line, at least in '98. Jake Plummer turns it on. But in best era football, against great playoff teams every single week, the hope or the mission for Plummer and coach Vince Tobin is to get the game to the 4th quarter without getting blown out. So if they can keep it close, then Plummer turns into a good quarterback. He turns from bad to good when the 4th quarter starts. I think he had something like 5 comeback victories in '97, all because of his ability to turn it on in the 4th quarter. Just a switch that clicks in his brain or something, and if the game's close going into the 4th, he turns into a very good quarterback. But the first 3 quarters, he is very average, if that. You could easily say he's below average in the first 3 quarters of a game. Montana, on the other hand, is great throughout time. There, he launches one deep, and he says, the greatest receiver of all time. Let's see if you can come down with it. Of course, Jerry Rice obliges there. One-on-one coverage. Aeneas Williams is a solid, very fantastic all-pro corner. But again, Jerry Rice is the best receiver of all time, and I have never even had anyone argue that with me. Running backs, you get arguments. Is it Walter Payton? Is it Jim Brown? Barry Sanders? Emmitt Smith? Others, some people have told me Eric Dickerson was the best and just didn't do it for as many years as some of the other guys. But when it comes to receivers, Randy Moss was awesome. Terrell Owens was awesome. There were some great receivers throughout history, but nobody has yet argued with me that Jerry Rice is the best. Really, the only quarterbacks get argued. In basketball, I think it's ridiculous, but people have told me that Michael Jordan's not the greatest ever. But Wayne Gretzky as the greatest offensive hockey player of all time, and I think that one is pretty obvious as well. So earlier, again, if we're going to use Madden team overall ratings as kind of Vegas, then they have the Niners as a 10-point favorite, and they are up by exactly 10. Now you'll see the scores down below. The morning games are over. This, of course, is the afternoon slot. And I can tell you that the 99 St. Louis Rams did win their game. So both these teams are now chasing the 3-1 Rams. If the Niners win, they tie them. And, of course, last week they beat them head-to-head. So the Niners would take first place in the division with a win. If the Cardinals can win, they drop the Niners down to 2-2, and they get to 2-2 and technically leap over them with the head-to-head victory. So they would get up to second place. And that game coming up with the Rams would look huge. The other team in this division is the Seattle Seahawks from 1984, and they are currently 1-2, and they have yet to play as they are on the prime time night matchup. I can't remember if they're Sunday night or Monday night, but they'll be coming to you within the next week here. And so the Seahawks, I believe, would be rooting for the Cardinals, knowing that if they could win their game against the 87 Colts, they could have the entire division at 2-2, other than, of course, the St. Louis Rams, who destroyed the Cowboys earlier today. Second and 4 here again. The Cardinals need to keep the game close, at least within 10 points, entering the fourth quarter, and then see if Jake Plummer can do his thing. Now with Joe Montana on the other side, who also, he's not as bad in the first 3 quarters, but he also seems to get even better when the fourth quarter starts. You might want to keep it even closer than 10 points. Plummer rolls and then fires way across his body and out of bounds. It would have been much easier to throw it to the other sidelines if you're just throwing it away, but Plummer, I guess, wanted to show his arm strength there. Here's punter Scott Player will go a little too far and into the end zone. So he's not happy with that kick. It is a touchback. And out come the Niners. There's Jerry Rice, the greatest of all time. So we talked about how the seasons went for these two guys. Maybe you're someone that says, you know what, I realize about records, but I want to know individually, player by player, who's better. Tell me how many Pro Bowlers each of these teams have. Okay. The home team, the 98 Cardinals, have 1. The corner that is matched up on Jerry Rice, that's Aeneas Williams. So the one player that made the Pro Bowl on this team is playing the greatest receiver of all time. So even he is outmatched. On the other side, the 49ers in 89 put 5. That's right, 5 offensive Pro Bowlers. Quarterback Joe Montana. Receivers Jerry Rice and John Taylor. Running back Roger Craig and the left guard Guy McIntyre. So 5 Pro Bowlers on offense. Then their kicker Mike Kofer is actually an All-Pro and not the Pro Bowler. So that's how sometimes the Pro Bowl voting goes. But Mike Kofer very good, although technically not a Pro Bowler. And then the only defensive Pro Bowler the Niners bring to the table is the all-world safety Ronnie Lott, who had 5 interceptions on the year and will hit you very hard every time. Willing to give up more of his carries here today than typical. Now, with that said, it's not like these teams don't have good players that didn't make the Pro Bowl. On the Niners defense, of course, Charles Haley had 10.5 sacks. Did not make the Pro Bowl. There you see a man, Brent Jones, 500 receiving yards with 4 touchdowns. He is a very good tight end, but he didn't make the Pro Bowl. Tom Rathman, of course, as good of a fullback as you'll find. Over 600 yards receiving in 89, almost 1,000 all-purpose yards, but not a Pro Bowler. The Cardinals have a fullback themselves in Larry Centers, so 2 of the best pass-catching fullbacks. Tom Rathman had 73 catches for 616 yards. Larry Center had 69 catches for 559 yards. So 2 great pass-catching fullbacks in this one. There's play-action pass, and Joe Montana has completed his 9th pass today. It's 9 of 12. He came in over 70%. He's at 75% today, so Montana continuing his very accurate year here in Best Era. Frank Sanders on the Cardinals, 89 catches for over 1,100 yards. It's a shame that he was not in the Pro Bowl, but look at this. A tip pass goes into the hands of number 26, Arizona Cardinal. Great. Sorry, not great getting carried away there, but J.B. Brown, the corner who actually lost his job to rookie Corey Chavis throughout the year, but he did start 6 of the games. In this game, we saw Chavis was starting, so he is the corner, nickel corner in this one, but he comes up with a pick 6. J.B. Brown. And the Cardinals get right back into this thing. 10-7 now, as Joe Nedney puts that one home. And these 98 Cardinals, I'm telling you, there's something about it. All the statistics tell you not to worry about it. And then pick 6 here, a missed field goal by one side, and clutch field goal by Nedney, and game stays close. And then the 4th quarter, Jake Plummer goes from terrible Plummer to, well, I would say Joe Montana, but Joe Montana's in this game, so that doesn't seem fair. He turns into, let's say, Tom Brady or something in the 4th quarter. And here they are at it again. They're outmatched. We all know it. But they're only down by 3, and if they can stay close into the 4th quarter, this could be a game to steal. Joe Montana starts this drive by hitting Jamie Williams for a quick 8 yards. Minutes to go in this first half. Niners jumped out early, but right now only up 10-7. Quick handoff to Roger Craig, and he gets a block and breaks a tackle, and he's gone. Roger Craig with a huge run to put the Niners back on top by 2 scores. A big-time run by Roger Craig, who kept the knees high through the line and broke a tackle. Huge run. 60-something yards, I believe. And it's the Niners now up by 10 if Kofor puts this through, which he does. 17-7, Niners lead the Cardinals. The 2 primetime games, the Sunday Nighter and the Monday Nighter, are going to bring you the 84 Seahawks against the 87 Colts. And then the 91 Washington Redskins against the 1990 Kansas City Chiefs. So that's what's coming up for week 4. And then we'll move on to week 5. Week 5 will feature some of the same teams that will be shown here in week 4. Actually, it's the 85 New York Jets. Will be one of the early games against the 86 Cleveland Browns. You'll see the 1990 Buffalo Bills going up against the only remaining undefeated team in the AFC, the 88 Cincinnati Bengals. And then you'll see, after watching the 84 Seahawks later tonight, you will see the 84 Seahawks in action against the 99 St. Louis Rams in the afternoon game of Week 5. And then, of course, there are the normal Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night games, which are dictated by the schedule of Madden 2018. I don't remember who those are. There's a handoff to fullback Larry Sanders, his second carry. Larry Centers. And that was just trying to take the Niners by surprise and maybe get a few yards. He only got one, though. So 4th and 15 coming up. He's got player. He can hit this one as hard as he wants because it's not going to be a touchback. And he actually does get it down to the 21-yard line. So very good punt by player there. And good punt coverage. There's the man, Roger Craig. He has been fantastic here today. Limited carries, but huge yardage. A couple big runs. Montana's been very accurate. Just that one ball that was tipped around a few times before landing in the Cardinals' hands. And there is hands up, and he tried to draw the penalty, and I think he did. He gets a defensive pass interference call against Corey Chavis. And so there is a huge gain on a penalty, and they'll put the ball right at midfield. Montana went downfield and got the call. Now here's a handoff to Tom Rathman getting a carry. He doesn't get much, back to the line only. And we're at the 2-minute warning. It's Niners 17, Cardinals 7. Right now 10 points. That's still, the Cardinals don't want to be down by any more than this entering the 4th. The Niners, of course, would be okay stretching it out, but I think they'll probably feel okay even if they're up by 10 going into the 4th. There's a little toss to Roger Craig, and he turns that into a first down. Craig 28 yards receiving, close to 100 yards rushing already. So Roger Craig having a great first half. Montana now from the shotgun. He'll launch one up. And, oh, no. I thought John Taylor had beat his man for a touchdown, but the ball was moving. Let's see if they'll show a replay. I think Chavis may have just tipped it. There's a look at Aeneas Williams in case they decide to go to Rice. I don't know. They're not showing the replay, but I think Chavis may have at the last minute reached out and tipped that ball just enough. Uh-oh, what's happening here? There's a penalty flag, and then Montana scrambles. They say it's a fumble. The penalty's against the Niners, so if that is in fact a fumble recovered by the Cardinals, they're going to decline that, which they do. Now, if the booth looks at this and says it's not a fumble, will they let the Cardinals go and accept the penalty? They're not even going to look at it, or they have already and confirmed Montana did really fumble that. That's Montana's second fumble, and the first one he's lost, though. And if the Cardinals, they got 7 points off of one turnover, if Jake Plummer can just get them a few yards here and get in field goal range, it would be a huge lift to their confidence going in the second half. See, Jake Plummer looked like he was going to run for it, and then they said, you know what, you take the hit instead of me. Didn't gain anything, but let Sanders take the hit instead of himself. Now, there was an injury. The Cardinals need to hope it's not Frank Sanders, who led the team in catches with 89 catches in 98. No announcement that it was Sanders. I wonder who it was that was hurt. Plummer on 3rd and 13. He's going to roll to the left. Keep his eyes downfield. You got to throw this thing. He does to no one, though. No one in particular. Tried to hit the Cardinal emblem maybe in the middle of the field, but that's going to force another Scott player punt. The 49ers defense has dominated this game. Oh, it's a nice move by Taylor there, and he gets it across the 30-yard line. So let's see. Montana might want to make up for that fumble and try to get some points on the board here. Or will they just run it and get to the locker room up by 10? Montana's going to go to the air. No, he's going to run again. Do not fumble, Montana. That's been a problem today. He gets to the ground without fumbling. And now the Niners will take a timeout. Montana is... he's not immobile or anything like that. He did run the ball 49 times in 89, so that is about 3 rushes a game. So he's right there. I mean, he's not running too much, but today the Cardinals are popping, going for that ball, trying to force the turnover, so he might just want to stay in the pocket today. A quick drop now. There's a more effective play. Quick drop and get it into the hands of John Taylor. Clock's winding down. We're under 50 seconds now. The Niners are already over 300 yards. Because of that pick 6 and the fumble by Montana, it's not as big of a blowout as it should be. I mean, they're on pace to have over 600 yards of offense. But it's only a 10-point game right now. Montana will fire it out of bounds. And that'll bring up 4th down. Will they go for it? They're not going to risk it. They don't want the Cardinals to get a huge momentum play before the half. So the Cardinals are going to be able to get into the locker room down by only 10 despite being outgained like 300 yards to about 30. This should just be either a kneel or a handoff. It looks like they are going to go ahead and let their back take a crack at getting some yards here. And he doesn't get much. Adrian Morrell's 10th carry. He has 10 carries for just 15 yards. And that'll get us to the locker room, I believe. 5-4. There's no reason, Cardinals. There's really no reason to snap this ball. They do, though. They'll give it to Pittman. I guess they wanted Pittman to take a shot at it. And he comes up with a nice 10-yard gain. So maybe Pittman will be used a little bit more in the second half. But for now, we have reached the half, and it is 17-7 San Francisco. This game has really been dominated by the Niners defense, but the Cardinals defense has forced 2 turnovers and has kept their team relatively in the game. And now the perfect start, of course, would be a long, let's say 7-minute drive that ends in a touchdown. If that would happen, the Cardinals would be within 3 points and already be just a few minutes away from the 4th quarter, which is when Jake Plummer turns into a real quarterback. Plummer does complete a nice slant pattern there. 6 of 12 with an interception. Again, that's first 3-quarter Jake Plummer. But he'll become accurate once we see that ticker right by the 7 by the Arizona Cardinals turn to a 4th instead of a 3rd. Now, I've been saying that over and over about Jake Plummer turning into a different quarterback in the 4th. So hopefully Madden will not make me look like an idiot. I now have a feeling that I've said it too much and he's going to throw like 4 interceptions in the 4th quarter or something. And the Niners know that, at least for the first 3 quarters, the Cardinals' game plan is going to be pound Morrell, and they are stifling it today. 11 carries, just 16 yards for Adrian Morrell. Adrian Morrell is definitely a capable back. Again, he had more rushing yards in 98 than Roger Craig did for this 89 team. But Roger Craig's been the better back today. Also, Roger Craig is a much better receiving back. Overall, he is a better back than Morrell. But Morrell is a solid runner. So the Cardinals do nothing again on offense. Now their defense, pressure on to keep it a 10-point game or force a turnover. They hand up to Tom Rathman. That's his second carry now. He has 2 carries for 1 yard. And then you see Denver took the lead against the Oakland Raiders. That's last place versus first place in the AFC West. There's a handoff and another huge hole. And, Bennett just able to bring him down. Craig almost broke another one. He has 118 yards now and just 10 carries. Roger Craig has come to put some stats on the board today. And there's play action pass. They'll fake it to him. And then Montana runs into him and falls down. But Roger Craig picks up the defender. And so Montana does not get sacked. He's able to run and turn it into a 9-yard gain. Roger Craig cannot do anything wrong today. Montana's been a little bit shaky, fumbling. He runs into Craig and falls down. Stays on the ground anticipating a sack. But Roger Craig picks up the defender and flips him over. And Montana has time to get up and run for a 9-yard gain. Absolutely wonderful play by Roger Craig there. He does everything, including picking up blitzers, that's for sure. Play action pass, Montana now will throw it to the Cardinals. That's Montana's 3rd turnover, and that's the only thing keeping the Cardinals in this game. The first one was tipped around. The second one was a fumble when Montana scrambled, but this one was just thrown right into the Cardinals' hand. So Montana he seems to be the one guy on the Niners that has kind of let himself come down. He got amped up for that Rams game in which he played great in. But he is shaky here today. Roger Craig's been great. The Niners defense has been great. But Montana's turnovers have kept the Cardinals alive. And I've been saying it all game long. If the Cardinals keep it close going into the 4th, that's how they pulled out 9 wins. At least 5 of their wins were last drive or wins where they scored in the final 5 minutes to take the lead or tie it, and then go on to win it in overtime. So these 98 Cardinals, they just hope to survive the first 3 quarters, and then they find a way to win it in the 4th. Any points here would definitely play into that scenario. They can get it to a 1-score game as the 4th quarter starts. We're going to have something to watch here. So you know what? I told you the stats. I told you the Cardinals were outscored on the season. They were an average offense and a bad defense. And so why don't I just go ahead and explain to you how they even got into the playoffs. So here's how it happened. They started off the season. They started off, I know they were 3-4 at one point. So they were actually 6-7. 6 wins, 7 losses. They went into Philadelphia, tied it in the 4th, won it in overtime by 3, beat the Saints on the last-second kick, 19-17, and then beat the Chargers on a field goal inside of a minute. So 3 straight, basically walk-off wins to go from 6-7 to 9-7 and get in the playoffs. And so I am not joking when I say this is how this team plays. They had 9 wins. Here's some of their wins. They have 9 total. They beat the Chargers by 3. They beat the Saints by 2. They beat the Eagles by 3. They beat the Redskins by 3. They beat the Redskins again by 2. They beat the Lions by 2. They beat the Rams by 3. Then they also had 2 wins against the Eagles and Bears, which they actually won by more than 3 points. But 7 of their 9 wins were by 3 or less. So they are the master of keep the game close and then win it at the last minute however you can. But the 49ers can, if they can get another touchdown on the board, they can pretty much put that scenario to rest. But here come the Cardinals now, starting to find some momentum. They sack Montana on play number 1, and that brings up a 2nd and 18. And the Niners, as much of a blowout as the first half felt like, they are now, it's just a 7-point game, and you can feel in the building the Cardinal fans are starting to believe. They're getting a little bit louder. And the Niners need to stop this from getting away. Hand up to Roger Craig, who has been the one man that's dominated this game, and he gets a couple more. There you see Roger Craig has both touchdowns and over 120 yards now. 3rd and 16 coming up. Montana rolls right, slings it deep downfield, and it's knocked away at the last minute by Aeneas Williams. The one Pro Bowler the Cardinals has to cover Jerry Rice, and he's been doing a pretty good job today. He got his hand in there just in time to knock it away from Rice on that one. And the Niners will punt. And the first time since the first 2 drives of the game, the Cardinals will have the ball with potential to tie it on this drive. It was a nice return by Metcalf up to the 40. So it's not the 4th quarter yet, so it's doubtful Jake Plummer can lead him to a touchdown drive, but if he can get even a field goal on the board. Oof. Nice hit by Walter there, flipping Morrell over his heels overhead. The kind of sayings that happen here in Best Era Football. Plummer now. Completion to McWilliams. Plummer 8 of 15, 92 yards with the pick. Again, he's just biding his way through the first 3 quarters. And very often you will see Plummer put more yards up in the 4th quarter than he does in the first 3 quarters combined. And that's what Cardinal fans are hoping for here in this one. Plummer's going to roll out. He'll find number 84, who I think rolled for a first down. He was on top of the defender's body, so he was able to roll himself to a first down. That's tight end Gedney. Look at this. Tackled. I'm still not down. He rolls over. Picks up the first down. Hey, get it however you can. And the Cardinal fans now realize they're just 3 minutes away from hitting that magical 4th quarter. Plummer puts that on the money to McWilliams. Plummer now starting to get better. He knows it's getting closer. 2.5 minutes away. Cardinals would love to pick up this first down. Plummer's going to throw for it. And he's going to go short to Frank Sanders. So that answers that question. Sanders was not injured on that play earlier. Pollard with the tackle. Frank Sanders 6 catches now. He is the number 1 target of Jake Plummer. At least he was in 98, and he is today. Gedney in motion now. They'll fake it to Morrell. He'll roll out to the right. He'll sling it towards the sideline, but a little bit too far out of the reach. And that will be incompletion. You see the passing offenses there. The Cardinals are at 94 yards. Niners at 166. 95 seconds left in this 3rd quarter. Cardinals driving down by 7. Hand up to Morrell. He goes nowhere. But the clock ticks down, and we're less than a minute away from when Jake Plummer realizes he's an NFL quarterback. Plummer's going to try to realize that right here. Rolls out, looking, tosses it, but an inaccurate throw as he took a look at the scoreboard to remind himself it's only the 3rd quarter. He is not yet an accurate passer. But Nedney will come out and try to hit from 52. This is right at the edge of range for him. They need this, though. Cardinal fans holding their breath. Nedney hits the crossbar. No good. Oh, game of inches indeed. Nedney just comes up a few inches short. And the Niners hold on to their full 7-point lead now. Good field position, too. Montana just needs a couple first downs to stretch this lead out. Drop back to pass on the first play and sling it out to Roger Craig, who's falling down but does make the catch. It's Roger Craig's 4th catch of the day. He has 31 yards receiving, over 120 on the ground. So Roger Craig over 150 all-purpose yards here in the first 3 quarters. I'll give it to him again. He'll get a block. He'll get across midfield. Spin move. 40, 30. Pat Tillman's the only one that could catch him. And he will push him down to the 3-yard line. And that's the way the third quarter ends. Huge run by Roger Craig. He's over 150 on the ground now. And with over 30 receiving, he's getting close to a 200-yard total yard day. So Roger Craig and the Niners defense has dominated this game, but the Cardinals defense has kept it close enough. It's 17-10, and now that we're in the fourth quarter, Jake Plummer will actually turn into a real quarterback, which means the Cardinals are probably going to have one good scoring drive. But the Cardinals defense here needs to hold the Niners 2-3. And now, just seconds ago, Nedney hit the crossbar. And that looks huge now if the Cardinals are able to hold the Niners to a field goal, knowing that Nedney was just inches short of putting 3 points in himself. It's a handoff, and the Cardinals defense comes up big again. So Roger Craig has dominated this game, but on 1st and 2nd and goal, they go to Flagler. Questionable stuff from Bill Walsh there. It looks like Roger Craig is in now on 3rd down. At least give him one shot. No, Montana's going to throw. And that's going to be incomplete. John Taylor couldn't haul it in. You see Montana's 13 of 23. And so the Cardinals do what they needed to do, which is hold them to a field goal. 13.5 minutes to go. Kofer. I mean, I can't imagine him missing from this close. Good snap, good hold. Kofer's kick is good. Niners increase the lead to 20-10. I said a couple things earlier. I said according to the Madden team ratings, they have the Niners as a 10-point favorite. That's exactly what the margin is right now. I also was telling you that Jake Plummer vastly improves as a quarterback. At least in '98, this was the case. He becomes a much better quarterback once it's the fourth quarter than he is in the first 3 quarters. So it is vital for them to keep it within 10 going into the fourth. Well, here it is. Plummer comes out. He's down by 10. He has not played very well, but it is the fourth quarter now. Let's see if things start to change. First time he's going to go ahead and run for it and get a couple yards. That's his 2nd scramble of the day. Williams in motion here. Plummer will fake it to Morrell. He'll roll out right, and he'll sling it to McWilliams. And there's a 1st down. Minutes to go. Plummer desperately needs a score on this drive. Shotgun. Plummer now waiting. Rolls out to the right. And he's going to tuck it and run a few more yards. So we had a 8-yard scramble and then a 6-yard pass completion. And now another 8-yard scramble. Just starting to get the blood pumping. Hand off to Morrell, and he is not able to push the pile. He's still short of the 1st down. Morrell's had a rough game, just 29 yards on 18 carries. 3rd and 1. The Cardinals will be going for it on 4th down, so they have 2 chances to get a half a yard here. First time Morrell actually loses yards, and so now that turns it to a 4th and 2. And I think you've got it the fourth quarter now. This is where Jake is actually a good player. You've got to put it in his hands, but now they're going to make it even harder for him. As the offensive line jumps, And that is terrible luck. It looked like they were lining up to run for it. And now, because it's 4th and 7, they're going to actually punt. I thought for sure they'd go for it, but because of the penalty, they don't feel like they can get 7 yards against this Niners defense. They're going to punt it down, and the punt's not as good as they would have liked. And that gives the ball to the Niners at the 20. So now we know Jake Plummer is supposed to be better in the 4th quarter, but Joe Montana is one of those guys that knows how to put games away or win them in the 4th himself. And so I would not expect anything but the 49ers to get at least 2 to 3 first downs and work on this clock here. There's Roger Craig, who has dominated this game so far. He's at 173 yards with 2 touchdowns. But he goes nowhere on that one. The Cardinals need to get the ball back as quickly as possible. They need a 3 and out here. Another handoff to Craig, and with the safety playing on the line of scrimmage, that is a 2-yard loss. So on 3rd and 12, let's see where the safeties line up. They put Tillman back, but they do stay with 8 in the box, even though there's 4 receivers. Montana will look deep, and he's got a man. And that is up to the midfield stripe as Joe Montana goes to Jerry Rice. And the Niners, who had over 400 yards or over 300 yards in the first half, finally get to 100 yards here in the second half. And that, most importantly, will be able to take another 2 minutes off the clock. There's a handoff to Flagler. He goes nowhere, but again, it's all about each first down. Allows the Niners to take 2 more minutes off the clock. We're down to 7 minutes left. Montana handed off. And he breaks through the first couple of tacklers, but there is a flag. It's going to be holding on the Niners. So, interesting call. You can get into 3rd down, or you can make sure they can't get a first down. Okay, they push him back, 2nd and 19. That should discourage the Niners from running, unless, of course, the Niners know their defense can win this game, and they just want to take time off, which is what they go with. Roger Craig. It's a nice carry of 8 yards there. Brings up 3rd and 11, but the clock is getting down to 6 minutes now. Let's see, Montana, I would trust him. He has fumbled, and he's actually thrown 2 interceptions, but one wasn't his fault as it was tipped around. He'll roll out here, and he will fumble the ball for a 3rd time. Oh. I said I would trust him, but maybe they should not have. He's having problems holding on to the ball today. It's his 3rd fumble of the day. I don't know if his hand is injured or what is going on, but that is costly as the Cardinals are now just not even a first down away from being able to kick a field goal. Jake Plummer has got to take advantage of this good field position. He'll drop back. He'll roll to the right, and a misfire there. Four turnovers by the 49ers has kept this game from being over, but the Cardinals need to do something with this one. Plummer, they pick up the blitz nicely, and Plummer's just going to tuck it and run anyways. He has a lot of room out there, and he's all the way down to the inside the 15-yard line. There was no defender on that side of the field as Plummer rolled to the right, and then he just took off and ran it all the way down to the 13-yard line. Clearly in field goal range now, but the Cardinals want the touchdown. Plummer will turn, he will fake it, and he's going to a designed run for him this time. He's now ran 5 times for 53 yards. He did run the ball 51 times in 98, so that's a little over 3 times a game. He's at 5 rushes here today. And again, in the 4th quarter, something clicks in Plummer's head, and he just plays better. He's doing it with his legs this time. But it's almost like they try to structure him for 3 quarters, and he just isn't effective. And then in the 4th quarter, they just say, do whatever you can do. And there he fumbles. So all that talk, but he gets hit from behind. Ball comes out. That was Charles Haley, I believe. And when the Niners need a big play on defense, if it's not going to be Ronnie Lott, it's going to be this guy. No, it's not Haley at all. It's Fagan who hits him. Haley's the one that recovers it. So Plummer steps up, doesn't see Fagan right there, blasts him in the back. Ball comes out. Charles Haley recovers it, and the Niners are going to survive their 4th turnover. And at this point, they can just run straight into the line, and just by taking either timeouts or time off the clock, they should be able to run their way to a win here. Roger Craig still averaging over 10 yards a carry, having a sensational day. Absolutely imperative that the Cardinals do not allow a first down here. And with the Roger Craig, he has 17 carries, 182 yards. The Cardinals are keeping their timeouts, which is okay because they need the ball twice, but they definitely need to stop him on this 3rd down. Will Montana go to the air and possibly stop the clock for him? Let's see, Montana. He does throw it, but it's right on the money to Mike Wilson. And that is basically the game, because that is going to now eat away the Cardinals' timeouts. I have not seen a onside kick recovered yet in best era football, so that's why I say the game is basically over. Because that big throw by Montana to Wilson means that the Cardinals must execute an onside kick to win this game. It's unfortunate that that we can't go back to onside kick rules from this era, which were still not guaranteed or anything, but gave you more of like a almost 20% chance or 15% chance to recover it. Nowadays, of course, and in Madden 18, it is basically 0% chance. Now, you shouldn't say 0. It's going to happen. Someone's going to recover an onside kick before best era football's over, but it's probably going to be one time in 17 weeks of, however many games per week. Third and 5, Montana can end it right here with a first down. And he does, and he hits Wilson again for it. So the Cardinals decide not to cover Wilson on this drive. Montana hits him twice. 2 first downs. He does go out of bounds, though, so the game's not technically over yet. Cardinals can get the ball back, but they'll just be looking to pad stats at that point. Speaking of padding stats, Roger Craig might have just gone over 200 yards as the Cardinals are disheartened. They know the game's over. They weren't really interested in tackling on that one. The coach will call timeout, though, so the coach has not given up yet. The players have, though, so this game is over. Niners are going to improve to 3-1 and stay in a tie, but they hold the tiebreaker against the 99 Rams for the division. The Cardinals will drop to 1-3 and move into last place. The Seahawks have been in last place the whole season so far, but now the Cardinals will momentarily move below them. And we'll see what happens to the Seahawks on Sunday Night Football coming up. Tom Rathman is not able to pick up the first down there, but he does get the clock moving. We're down to 1 minute left. Technically, the Cardinals will get the ball back if the Niners don't get a first down here. I have a feeling the Cardinals might just let him get the first down, though. Roger Craig does get the first down. Roger Craig over 200 yards on the ground. Another 30-something receiving. 2 touchdowns. It was the Roger Craig show today. And you see the Niners actually ran the ball more than they threw it. So the Niners turned the ball over, but Roger Craig and their defense just too strong for the Cardinals to take advantage. And the Niners get the 3-1. Cardinals drop to 1-3. See if the announcers will tell us who they're going to play next week. If they do, I will reiterate it because I'm not sure how loud the announcers are coming across to you guys.
Charles, you never take that for granted, no matter who you're playing, no matter where you're playing. You take it and you run with it. And you know you prime the pump all week in your own home facility. No one thinks we can do this. Only people who believe are right here in this room. And then you go on the road, band together, and get it done. So for San Francisco, they're certainly roll as they move to 3-1 with a win here. And they'll have another road date next week with the Indianapolis Colts. Meanwhile, for the Cardinals, they'll drop down to 1-3. And they'll look to get back in the winning column next week as they head to Philly to face off with the Eagles.
Okay, so the 89 Niners, that's their third straight win. They're up to 3-1. And they're going into Indianapolis to take on the 87 Colts. 87 Colts, a little bit surprisingly, are 2-1 right now. And we'll see on Monday Night Football, or no, I'm sorry, Sunday night against those 84 Seahawks that we were talking about. If the Colts can get to 3-1, that'll be a battle at 3-1 teams next week. The Cardinals, on the other hand, are going to Philadelphia to take on the 3-1 Philadelphia Eagles. So both those games should be good contests right now with the Niners, who are in first place in the NFC West. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, have a good week, and join us again here for either best era football or classic era football, as well as Sack to the Future, which will definitely be bringing you the 1961 playoffs within the next couple days here, as the Bears have a big game against the Packers in that one. But stick around, click notifications, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, everyone.